the talk. I'm Shekhar Gupta in New Delhi, and my guest today, somebody with a formidable job and with a very tough case. In fact, he has to speak for the future of nuclear energy in this increasingly skeptical world, also in an increasingly skeptical country, India. Yukiya Amano, Director General of International Atomic Energy Agency. India is as tough a place as any to go to these days for you.
But this is a very nice place. I'm very happy to meet you, and I'm very honored to be invited to your program.
Thank you very much, sir. But as I said, I mean, we have this conversation almost exactly on the second anniversary of Fukushima.
Yes.
There are doubts about nuclear energy all over the world. IAEA got the Nobel Prize for promoting the idea of peaceful uses of nuclear energy. Do you still have a case, or is the case lost?
Fukushima accident was a huge accident, and very severe accident, and it was a very difficult thing for me because it happened in my own country, Japan.
Yes.
And just after the accident, many people believed that this is the end of the nuclear power. 2 years have passed, and advanced elements have already in the past. What is happening now? Some countries like Germany or Italy or Belgium decided to phase out.
Italy is in very bad order in my country these days. So I don't think we are going to follow anything they've done.
Some countries decided to phase out from nuclear power or decided to change the course. But it means many other countries continue to use nuclear power as an important option. And according to the IAEA's latest estimate, by 2030, there will be increase by 23% minimum or 100% maximum. So nuclear power continues to be an important option for many countries.
Because since Fukushima, in fact, the first new plant has begun to be constructed. It's in UAE.
Yes. UAE is the first country in the 27 years that a newcomer joined this
nuclear
area.
energy.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. But what do you tell your own Japanese countrymen who are so doubtful about nuclear energy? They've been demonstrating.
For the Japanese, I would say that there were, of course, the accident was caused by huge tsunami and earthquake. But there were a lot of human errors, and people got a little bit complacent, especially the utilities. That was a huge wake-up call for the safety. And after the Fukushima accident, lots of improvements have been made to enhance the safety level. And I saw it in India.
But you examined safety levels in India. Are you satisfied with them?
We are not the inspectors on safety issues.
Right.
We are helping countries to improve the safety. And some important thing is to learn lesson from Fukushima and think jointly how we can make it safe.
You talked about, sir, human errors in Fukushima.
Yes.
But that's the worry, that you have human beings everywhere. So human errors in driving a car may lead to 1 or 2 deaths. Very sad, but 1 or 2 deaths. Human error in flying a plane, hundreds of deaths. Human error in running a nuclear plant, God knows what will happen. So that's the worry. Then why take the risk? I'm presenting the other case to you.
Yes. There are a lot of things that we can do, learning from the lessons from Fukushima. For example, people thought in Japan that blackout will not happen in Japan. It did. So the emergency diesel generator should be properly
blackout means a complete power outage.
That's right. That's right.
So that is not a problem. In India, we are used to them.
And also, the water is needed to cool down the plant. And I visited Tarapur, and I saw the outside hookup is now installed, and they are painted in red. So one can see immediately, in the emergency, we have to hook up the water to this pipe, and then reactors can be cooled down. And that is essential in case of accident.
Was Fukushima an obsolete reactor now? Would a newer reactor have survived this?
I don't say that old reactors are dangerous, new ones are safe, but it is obvious that new reactors can take lessons from the past experience. But old reactors can be also safe using the retrofitting, for example.
Yes, as the foremost spokesman for nuclear energy globally, did it get you angry the way Fukushima was handled? Were you irritated, upset? What are they doing? They're damaging the cause of nuclear energy. Because you are on your own side.
On my part, I concentrated my efforts to help the Japanese to overcome this difficult phase. And then I try to pass the information to everyone in the world. Now we are at the post-Fukushima phase. So my priority number one is to implement the plan that everyone agreed after Fukushima in order to make nuclear power safer.
So what will you say to people, to fishermen who live around Kudankulam and who are protesting and who have worries about what might happen to them?
Monitoring is very important. Preventing the accident is important. And if it happens, make the release of radioactivity into the environment to the minimum level possible. But in most of the cases, the release of radioactivity into the environment is very rare or very limited. Surprisingly, nuclear industry has a good record of safety. The problem is that there are some accidents that are not likely to happen, but when it happens, the impact is huge. This is the problem.
Catastrophic, yes.
Yes, a small accident we can
Because
control.
Fukushima estimates of whether radiation was escaping or how much varied a great deal, and there was a lot of panic. But what was your assessment? How much leaked at Fukushima?
I don't have the figure, but it was the most important, most serious accident after Chernobyl.
Right.
And there were complacencies. But a good example is that another nuclear power plant, 20 kilometers south of Fukushima, was not affected. So with some proper precaution and measures, we can prevent the accident developing into such a serious one.
So have you followed the agitations which are taking place over Kudankulam in India? These are Russian reactors which are coming up in South India?
Yeah, I have been following this issue, but in my view, the most important thing is to be transparent.
Those reactors are under your safeguards?
Yes. And safeguard is one thing, and safety...
But you are going to be there.
The IAEA is working with the Indian government.
I know. People sometimes misunderstand IAEA safeguards to mean IAEA supervising safety. You are only supervising the safety of non-leakage of fissile material and misuse. Yes.
Safety is the responsibility of the government, and the role of the government is to help them.
For clarity, your job is then, when you say IAEA safeguards, it is to safeguard non-proliferation interests.
That's exact. Prevent the nuclear material being used for military purpose.
Right.
That is the safeguard.
Right. So, Kudankulam, say something to the fishermen of Kudankulam, because its reactors will start producing power in a couple of weeks now.
I think people have better to address this issue in a scientific manner and most transparent manner. Emotion does not solve the problem. And I recommend the Indian government to be as transparent as possible. And for the population too, it's much better to have a good discussion, good dialogue with some other stakeholders.
Now these new reactors that India is looking at, the French EPR we call them, have you studied them? Do you have an impression about them? Are they safe, unsafe, tested, untested?
I have visited the construction site of EPR in Finland.
Right.
It's a huge nuclear power plant with lots of safety features. It is a very well studied reactors. But there are also other reactors.
So that's been shortlisted for our Jatapur project.
And there are many types of reactors, and every reactor has some advantage and disadvantage.
Right.
So it depends on the needs of the country to choose.
So what about the criticism that this is an untested reactor? Why is India installing an untested reactor? Is it an untested reactor, or is that a misnomer?
It is not yet in operation in the market, but it is based on the tested experience, the technology. It is not something that comes from heaven. The nuclear power operators have long experience in operating it, and this is the result of the improvement. So everything comes for the first time in the market. I don't make that much experience whether the nuclear reactor, some type, is the first in the market or not.
So what's your impression of the Indian nuclear establishment? You've been dealing with them for a long time.
They have very capable people, and you have the pool of human resources. This is very rare in many countries. Human capacity building is the biggest problem in many countries. But in your country, you have hundreds, thousands of people working in this field, and they are very bright, responsible people. And now the market is open for the cooperation with other countries. IAEA is sending review missions. Your government accepted the peer review mission for review. Yes, what we call OSAT mission, to review the operation. I think this openness.
So we go now to the next status, which is from OSAT. What is it in the hierarchy of checking?
Not hierarchy, but there are many services.
Right.
And one important area that we are focusing is the regulatory body, review of the regulatory body.
AERB.
Yes,
Atomic
IRSS.
Energy Regulatory Body.
Yes, the independence of regulatory body is very important.
Because there are many doubts in India that it is not autonomous enough, that there is lack of transparency.
And that is not the problem only in India, but we are recommending all the countries to establish a robust and independent regulatory body. And one of the biggest lessons that we learned from Fukushima is that Japanese regulatory body was not robust enough, was not independent enough, and in consequence, oversight on the industry was weak.
So they were not asking the right questions.
They were not asking the right question, and they were not taking the right measures. Now it is a change.
Or they were not asking the right questions, nor insisting on the answers.
Right.
They were complacent.
Yes.
In fact, that's a worry in India. And for many of us who supported the Indo-US civil nuclear deal, this was one of the reasons we thought that greater transparency will make our nuclear energy program safer, because more will be available there in public domain, and peer review.
We are, for example, for the peer review, your country invited a peer review mission, and your country is seriously considering to reform the regulatory body.
Right.
And we are recommending
And you are convinced by that they mean it.
Every country has a way to do it. But important thing is that regulatory body should be independent and robust. And Indian government is working into that direction.
Since India signed the civil nuclear agreement, it's been ratified by Nuclear Suppliers Group. India has adhered to its schedule of separation of civil and military installations. In fact, in many of our campuses, 2 units are civil, and under your safeguards, 2 are not. What can be the principled objection to India joining the NPT as a nuclear weapons power?
It is the sovereign states to decide, and we are not the state. We are an international organization, and for this India-specific
I'm seeking a scholarly view.
My personal view is that this world should be free from nuclear weapons, and lots of effort should be done for that. For the time being, it is the decision of each country whether to join or not to join the NPT.
No, sorry, sir. The issue is different.
Yes.
if India were to join NPT as a nuclear weapons power, it might just join because then it's not discriminatory to India.
Oh, I see. For that, NPT should be amended, and in reality, it is extremely difficult
To amend it.
I don't think it is.
But do you think time has come to modernize it? So it is more in tune with the changed times?
NPT is a product of compromise.
Right.
And changing it is extremely difficult. What is needed is to improve the implemented. I think that is the focus for now.
But, sir, just as changing it is difficult, defying it has become easier. Because you see Iran, you see Israel, then Iran, North Korea, happily defying it. And many countries defying it also in supplying technology to Pakistan.
The task that IAEA is facing to ensure or to encourage countries to fully implement is some huge challenge. But I don't think only IAEA can do.
Right.
We need the support from United Nations. We need the support from member states. Efforts by IAEA, stakeholders, and United Nations, all of the stakeholders need to work together. Only with that, we may be able to make some difference or improvement.
See, many of us worry that if this could happen in Japan, which is known for very tough work culture, discipline, punctuality, and made in Japan means very competitive, almost perfect. So you say, if this could happen in Japan, think of India. We have a chaotic way of working. Our discipline is all over the place. We believe in the concept of jugaad, which is, add this, subtract that, do something, get something moving. I mean, can we handle nuclear power? If the Japanese can't, can we?
Yes. I don't think the accident of Fukushima is because of the lack of technology. It is because of the severe natural hazard and also complacency. But now people have learned that even a country, industrial country like Japan, cannot get rid of this. So if countries learn lessons from Fukushima, I think nuclear safety will be much more enhanced.
So how much more time before people begin to forget Fukushima and move on, before nuclear energy finds enthusiasm again, because now it's also got competition from shale gas?
We should not forget because safety is most important. At the same time, we should not be dragged by the accident forever. There are other important elements. How can we ensure the development without sufficient electricity? How can economy can be competitive? How can we fight against the climate change? These elements must be properly considered, and in that consideration, nuclear power has a role to play.
And shale gas, you got competition now?
The role is different. Every source of energy has advantage and disadvantage, like nuclear. And shale gas has an advantage, but solar power and some windmill, all of them have advantages. I don't exclude any possibility, but the key word is the best mix.
Right.
And nothing should be excluded for now.
So 10 years from now, do we see more nuclear power plants operational or fewer?
Much more.
Much more.
According to our estimate, there will be 80 to 90 more or hundreds more
in the
nuclear
next
power
10 years.
plant by 2030. In next 10 years, of course, because now 66 nuclear power plants are under construction.
Well, nobody complains about what's under construction in China anyway. The first EPRs will also be rising in China.
Although the construction of nuclear power plants are in progress, the total percentage that electricity produced by nuclear power will decrease.
20%, because other power will come up.
Renewable,
right.
natural gas and coal will be used much more rapidly.
The Chinese build one coal-fired plant every week.
No?
Yes.
China economy is expanding rapidly, and they need the electricity.
Yes, so is ours. And that's why, some of us who support the idea of nuclear power, we need more reassurance from people like you.
Safety should come first, and this is the lesson that we have learned from Fukushima. But with some more caution, with further measures, I'm very confident that nuclear power is much safer than before.
Well, you are an optimist, Mr. Amano.
By nature, I'm an optimist. Otherwise, I cannot do this job.
So because now if you have to sell the idea of nuclear power, the problem with nuclear power is that you resell the idea every 2 decades, right? It happened after 3 Mile Island, happened after Chernobyl, it's happening now. But in this case, you will have to first sell it to your fellow Japanese, because only when they warm up to nuclear power again, that the rest of the world will lower its skepticism.
Already, the change is taking place in Japan. Just after the Fukushima accident, they thought, nuclear power is bad. Let's phase out from nuclear power by 2030. They thought well and start to think, perhaps this is not the right answer. And the Prime Minister said they will not consider the phase out by 2030. And now they have a very robust, independent regulatory body. And the Prime Minister said, when safety is confirmed, the nuclear power plant will resume its operation. So already we have that.
That's a good point. Say an optimist, so are we. And I do hope our government also works similarly on its regulatory body, because nothing will be more reassuring.
We'll work together with your government. Thank you very much.